Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and we're going to do the Impact review for the 12th of May 2020. And mixed bag for this particular event. I liked some stuff, hated some other stuff, and overall, probably one of the better Impact shows I've seen since I've been watching the last 3 or 4 months in a lot of ways, but still some really stupid booking decisions, vapid decisions that show that either the booking team is not thinking clearly or they just don't know basic booking. I don't know which it is, but anyway, they open with a video package. Starts for the promo for the number one contenders tournament for the World Championship. Moose interrupts, and the video is then dubbed over by the TNA voice. The video becomes, basically a Moose highlight reel, and then there's old footage of Chris Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Bobby Roode, Bully Ray, Jeff Hardy, Jeff Jarrett, Dixie Carter, and Hulk Hogan clipped together to put over uh, Moose. And so it makes me angry because it means that the booking committee has no ability or no belief in their own talent to get over on the merit of where they are, right? Plus, you're reminding people of who used to be in TNA, which basically means, yeah, we know we're giving you an inferior product, but remember when we were good? Remember when we were relevant? Remember when we had big name people? And it's all clipped together. I don't know. I guess because they own the TNA footage, they have the right to do this. But still, to me, it's kind of like a bait and switch. It's like if I said, if I edited together somebody to make it seem like I have the biggest YouTube channel on YouTube for pro wrestling, but the facts don't bear it out, it'd be no different. This is just it's lazy, it's foolish, it's unnecessary, and it makes them look bad. So then we go into Hernandez versus Madman Fulton without or with OVE, and this is the first match in the number one contenders tournament. So Hernandez is a guy that I've never really gotten. He's big, he can do some athletic stuff, but he just never made sense to me. Now, Fulton's a guy in a relatively new promotion. What I mean by new promotion is, for the most part, who really knows what Impact is on a national level? Maybe 500,000 people at best, right? So when you put a guy like Madman Fulton, who doesn't have a history of television people or television presence at a national level on television, you're giving a new talent a chance to shine. Good idea. And then you have him get beaten by, somebody who is somebody that has had the shot but just didn't connect for whatever reason. If he did, then TNA would still be around if he connected good enough, right? So it just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, they start with a basic tie up and a power advantage for Hernandez, and then Hernandez puts him in the corner, uses a headbutt and a clothesline, but couldn't put the big man down, and Hernandez catches him mid-cross body. Hernandez hits a pounce out of nowhere, and this cuts the momentum of Fulton off. Fulton hits a deadlift suplex. Amazing power by the guy. I didn't exactly like the guy at first, but if you're trying to get over new talent that hasn't been seen on a national level and make your own stars, Fulton has something. I don't quite know how I'd use him yet, but he's got something. Anyway, so he hits a front slam and then a plancha for 2 count. He then is choking him, and then Hernandez makes a comeback. Fulton then is fighting from underneath for a while. The Crist brothers were there to distract the referee. Fulton hits a huge sidewalk slam Well done. Awesome power. Again, Fulton, when he hits power moves, when he hits offensive maneuvers, he looks good doing it. Then he misses a second rope headbutt, and they try to use the rails, and then uh, Fulton ends up with his legs caught in the ropes. Hernandez then went for a tope con hilo on OVE, but the Chris brothers stopped him. Guy that big should be doing topes. I mean, I realize he athletically can do it, but just because someone can do something doesn't mean they should. For example, Andre the Giant used to be able to do a drop kick. However, did he do it later in his career? No. When he got to New York, they slowed that down. Why? Obviously, his physical aspects had something to do with it, but at the same time, he didn't belong doing those moves. Act like a big man, wrestle like a big man. If you're small, do small man stuff. If you're, you know, if you're a lucha guy, do lucha stuff. I mean, there's different styles of wrestling for a reason. It's a smorgasbord. And anyway, so Fulton goes back on the attack here, and then he hits a running splash in the corner. Hernandez blocks the second one. Fulton goes for superplex, but Hernandez blocks it and hits a superplex splash, and then a top rope splash for a win. Match isn't bad. Match is actually pretty good, but the star here was Fulton, and Hernandez is the one that goes over. So you take a guy who, at best, was an upper mid card guy, and you have him go over a guy who hasn't been tested yet with a national audience, really, and you're supposed to be an alternative promotion that gives new people opportunities. It's stupid to me that they waste opportunities to get new talent over. Doesn't make sense and is just kind of, it's indicative of the old, well, hey, we've put time into this guy, and so we got to get a return on our investment, and so even if it's not working or it didn't work when we had a larger television network, let's try it again. No. If you've tried for 6 months to get a guy or a woman over and it didn't work, you use them to put other people over, and then you reheat them up. You don't let the opportunity to get someone new over pass you by. Anyway, so Michael Elgin cuts a promo saying he should be the number one contender, but Impact keeps putting him in situations where he's going to overcome. He said that whatever happens to the talent on the way will be on Impact's heads. It's fine. I don't care for Michael Elgin. I never have. I respect the guy for promoting his own independent. I respect the guy for accomplishing getting into New Japan. But what does it say when there is a resurgence in the sport and he's on, at best, a third-rate company on a relatively underknown television network? There's got to be something about him that might have some issues. Anyway, Kylie Rae versus Tasha Steelz. Now, Tasha Steelz is new to Impact. Yay, new talent. And then she loses to Kylie Rae. Boo! Stupid. This is one of the things I talked about the bookers being brain dead. Simple logic. When you bring in a new talent that's never had national exposure before, and I realize that Kylie Rae did have some national exposure on AEW, I think for one of their pay-per-views, and maybe one television show, that she's had some. But she hasn't had national exposure on, or Kylie Rae hasn't had all that much national exposure, but she's gaining footing within your company. I like the character. It's Bayley all over again, and hopefully someone can do it right this time. But anyway, Tasha Steelz, she's most notably known for being on NWA Power, and that's a very niche product. They maybe have 150,000 people that know what they are, who they are. So she hasn't had national television exposure. And so having her lose in her first match is just stupid. This is where what you do if you're a competent company is you go to wherever you're at, Tennessee or I think that's where this was taped, or Georgia, or Los Angeles, or wherever you are, and you bring in on purpose. First of all, you run a seminar. Every time you go to a new town, you run a seminar the night before your TV or the night after your TV. The point of that is independent talent getting opportunities, and you can scout people right in front of you and make a little extra money because you could charge, I don't know, 50, $100 for the seminar. You get 10 people, that's $1,000. Maybe that pays somebody's um, pay for the night. Maybe if it's an independent deal, it pays two or three guys pay for the night, women's pay for the night. Anyway, and you get to see what's out there in case you want to contract some people. The best people you see in the seminar, ta-da, do some enhancement work on your television specifically to get over newer talent. Yay! This is like such basic logic. But anyway, match is fine. Some chain wrestling early, and then, they go back and forth for several minutes. Both women trade momentum. It's fine that it's competitive. I actually like that. But eventually, the match kind of picks up speed a bit, and Kylie gets the upper hand with arm drags. Steels drops her face first into the turnbuckle as a cutoff. Well done. Tasha hits a couple of short clotheslines for a near fall. Tasha then uses a sleeper, but Kylie gets her way out of that, and then we see Ray hit the Kylie special for a near fall. Kylie went for the STFF, but Tasha makes it to the ropes, so cuts that off. Tasha kicks Ray and hit a top rope crossbody for a near fall. Like, this is competitive. Kylie locks in the smile to the finish, and Tasha taps out. Good match, and I have no problem with Kylie winning if this is the second week or third week for Tasha Steelz. Being the first week, no. Let's put it this way. If you're going on a date, let's relate this to something everybody out there can relate to. On a date, do you want to have a positive impact so that you go back, or do you want to have a negative impact? Do you want to feel like you won or lost? Obviously, if you want to date a person a second time, you want to feel like you won the first time you meet them, right? So, new talent who have not been on your television program before should win. Unless, and here's the only qualifier to that, unless you only see them as enhancement talent. That's easily designated, but I can't imagine bragging about hiring somebody to only see them as enhancement talent. So therefore, it's stupid that at least first week in, Tasha doesn't get a win. It just doesn't make sense. Because now you've set her up to be, she's just a new girl who loses. Well, that's great if that's all you see in her, but I assume they see something more, in which case she should have won at least 1 week, if not 2 or 3, to gain some momentum and to move on to some of the established talent. Anyway, we see Kimber Lee, which originally when I saw her in Shine, she only had one name and her name was Kimberly, meaning just the first name, but now it's broken down into Kimber, first name, Lee, last name, interesting there, against Jessica Havoc. Interesting that they would have a match here. Havoc, probably the most, I don't know if I'd call her the most polished woman in Impact, but certainly the most defined as far as character is concerned, I think. Maybe neck and neck with Su Yung, perhaps. Which, by the way, I got to point out, Madison Rayne, probably in the top 3 commentators in the country right now. I love her. She's great in the role. I don't know who she studied under, but whomever that is should train everybody. She's phenomenal as a speaker, and I would put her, and maybe she can't get back in the ring, maybe her body isn't any good, but I'd put her in a managerial role or something and really try to push the heck out of her. She, again, has crossover star potential, especially when you consider that she's female and you could use her looks to your advantage, but she's talented and good looking. Run with that. I mean, just run with that. Anyway, so back to the match here. Havoc has the power advantage, which is simple. Tosses Lee around like she's a sack of potatoes. Lee tries to get herself back on the offense, but Havoc keeps cutting her off, as should be with the size difference. Kimber Lee connected with a spinning kick and a step up kick to bring Havoc down. Lee chokes her against the ropes and keeps going with strikes. Lee locks in a Kobe clutch around the ropes, which obviously can't get a submission that way. Havoc with a low drop kick then connects with a kick. She follows up with a swanton bomb for 2 count. And if I ragged on a guy for doing it, why is Havoc at that size using an aerial maneuver like that? I should be pulled out only for major match situations, not a throwaway TV match. Anyway, Kimber Lee went for crossbody. Havoc caught her and hit a spinning side slam, easy for me to say. Maybe swinging side slam would work too, for near fall. Nevaeh was seen. We still know nothing about Nevaeh, and I complained about it last week. I'll do less of that this week, but suffice to say, we've now seen Nevaeh 2 or 3 times, and we know nothing about her. That's wasted TV time, wasted money to bring somebody in if you're not going to advance their story. Kimber Lee grabs some brass knucks, which I don't understand how Josh Matthews knows the brass knucks so easily. You know, he easily could have said, oh, she grabbed a weapon. Boom. Kimber Lee nails her. And then, oh, they fall out of her hands. And then it's revealed to be brass knucks. Adds a little suspense. That's a mistake on Matthews' part. Anyway, so there's a Kiera Hogan vignette. She calls herself the hottest flame. Not bad. Lee gets the victory, as mentioned before. I assume she's going to be a heel since she cheated to win. Locker room talk with special guest Ken Shamrock. Shamrock's real wooden in promos, and I think Madison could have done a little bit more to give him some life. But anyway, he admits having problems with many people in the past, including Moose and Sami Callihan. And then Shamrock says he's now focused on the Impact Championship. Interesting. They could tie it in. Could he be an Impact Champion and a former TNA Champion as being the first TNA Champion? See, that would be one of the tie-ins to prove, like, hey, this guy's been around our organization on and off for 18 years. That's a tie-in that makes sense. Anyway, so let's see. And then Michael Elgin walks up and attacks Shamrock with a chair, delivered a concerto, and walked away. Now again, Elgin walking up and hitting Shamrock one time with a foreign object and Shamrock going down like he's just been shot. I don't know. To me, if you're going to do that, it should have been from behind, and it should have been Elgin doing something truly offensive, maybe spitting on him or mocking him or, calling him UFC boy or something. This just makes Shamrock look weak because he goes down after one shot. Makes Elgin look kind of like bitter, but not. It doesn't really advance his character. There's different ways you could have done the same thing. Anyway, promo by Sami Callihan's up next. He talks about Elgin, who he claims has always been trying to copy him. Difference is he fails where Callihan succeeds. He says the next week the two will collide, and he'll do whatever it takes to be Impact Champion again. Trey Miguel against Rohit Raju in the second number 1 contenders match thingamajigger. Long match here. At one point, and I guess I skipped over it, Rohit Raju does a inset promo, and he basically insults the people. He doesn't really do anything to get his character over, but he complains about having been there 3 years, but upper management won't look him in the face, which to me means he's completely forgettable. So you're acknowledging on TV that you're forgettable. He doesn't really do anything to get a character over. Instead, focuses on bagging on the fans, which is nice to get heel heat, but if there's nobody in the building, there's no point to doing that. I would have, Maybe he says, I'm from India and I'm better than all of you because we have to struggle where you people live in the lap of luxury. Maybe he says, I'm the most underrated X Division talent in the world. Like, there are just ways he could have done things differently here. Uh, you know, lots of chain wrestling in the early stages, and then a bunch of lucha arm drags. Uh, Raju gets tired, and he takes down Trey, and has a little bit of power advantage, a little bit of speed advantage too. Uh, then we see a jawbreaker and a foot stomp. Trey went for a dive, but Raju blocks it and kicked him several times, and then he works him over for a good bit, mostly strikes, and a little bit of submission work. Raju hits a jumping reverse STO for near fall. Trey tries to make a comeback but can't get anywhere. Trey finally connected with a full kick combination and a neck breaker to bring his opponent down, and he gets a short breather. Raju goes for kick combo, but Trey blocked and dodged them all. Connected with a Pele kick, got a near fall with that. Raju comes back with a couple of running attacks, gets a near fall off those, and then whips Trey in with a forearm. Tries to do his best to finish him off, but still doesn't get anywhere. When he goes for the Lamahi straw, Rohit catches him with a jumping knee, which should have been the end of the match. The knee looked great. Boom, hits a jumping knee, over. But instead, it's just treated like a spot, and then Raju hits a spinning neck breaker, goes for another front suplex, but then Trey wins with a inside cradle, small package, whichever term you prefer, and he wins the match. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Now, no problem with Trey winning if that's where you want to go, but there's no way that jumping knee sequence should have ever happened. That knee looked like $1,000,000, should have been a knockout victory, a way to get Raju over. Hey, he's a international fighter. He knows how to do strikes, etc., so forth. And it's foolishness, and it doesn't get anywhere in the long run. And that's going to be my phone, so we'll hit pause here. Be right. So anyway, as we continue going through this, I mean the match is decent enough, and it's a good showcase for guys who are undervalued. But anyway, Trey reverses into a small package. The knee should not have been used if this was going to be one of those, wrestling finishes. And what I mean by wrestling finish, I have no problem with a small package being a finish. But a small package should be a finish off a sequence that's rather innocuous. I go for a slam and you roll me up. I go for a suplex and you roll me up. Not I hit a major strike that looks like $1,000,000 and then you completely ignore that I did this. Anyway, Rahat throws a fit after the match, as one would expect. We get another video from Cody Deaner, and he's hugging trees and wrestling inanimate objects. Jim Cornette would not be impressed. I get it. This is kind of the redneck cowboy hillbilly thing. It's fine. Some people think they're humorous. I tend to think they're a little campy. But you gotta fill time somehow, and it's a good way to get the character on TV as being a little Duck Dynasty-ish. I get it, it's fine. Another match from the North. Paige cuts a promo saying that he's hired someone to get things going in their direction. Paige is enjoying himself with Alexander, and Alexander's getting tired of the whole process here. In any event, the Impact Tag Team Champions of Paige and Alexander defend against the Schmoes. Yes, that's actually the name. Paige super kicked one, knocks him down. with one move. They then did some theatrical junk. Uh, then, we kind of bring the unconscious guy back into the match. And then he's finished with a top, what do you call it? Alexander hits power bomb. They do some, boom bam cartoon graphics, and it says bam every time there's a punch, or boom every time there's a punch. They do some NWO Saturday Night style voiceover crowd noise. I wonder, and this is just me thinking outside the box. Is it time, especially if this pandemic is going to last for the next 6 months or however long, whatever that looks like? Could we do sweetened crowd noise? And I have a different idea on this. Is there a way? And I don't know technology, so if you know that this can't be done, comment in the comment section below. And if you know this can be done, tell me how feasible it is. So could you take 500 fans, 1,000 fans, put them all on a conference call line, and live stream and patch that into a live television broadcast, or edit the reactions on this recorded conference call line into a post-produced show so it looks like and sounds like there's people there. You purposely don't shoot the empty seats. Instead, you say, we value our fans so much. We wanted real-time reaction, and we got it through people calling into this conference call line. If you want to be part of WWE or AEW or fill in your promotion here, fan reactions, call into this number every week and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. The non-reaction part of wrestling, I think, is causing numbers to drop in droves. And if there's a technological way to work around that for all promotions, I think it's time to consider that, especially if, the live event piece isn't going to be allowed to happen for several more months. Because, Raw was a 1.9? How far are we from it being a 1.5 million or under 1 million? Like, is it possible that this could really hurt the whole business overall and send it kind of back into the dark age? That's uncomfortable. Anyway, so Rosemary's at the bar and she's trying to figure out her tarot cards, and she's talking to Johnny Bravo, and they argue about who missed Talia the least. She wondered if Bravo was the love that the cards had predicted. Then they do the Impact Plus flashback. I hate these. I will say it for 15 seconds every week. All it does is serve to remind the fans of the good old days. I understand you have a product to promote, but there's a way to do it while not airing the footage as much as you are. You could do it in commercial form. Hey, back when we were TNA, we had AJ Styles and Hulk Hogan and Bully Ray and Ric Flair and da-da-da. And subscribe for $9.99 a month. And leave it. You don't need to use your television time to show us back when the product had bigger stars. It's just dumb. Backstage, Swinger and Chris Bay had discussion. Swinger found Mac after Bay says that there's issues between the two of them, and Mac was talking smack. Haha, no pun intended. And then this leads to a promo where next week Swinger will challenge Willie Mack for the X Division Championship. Good for Swinger. I'd even support Swinger picking the belt up, because Willie Mack, I don't get it. He's a guy I don't see a lot in. He's a guy that doesn't define an X Division for me, and I don't get the push. Anyway, self-proclaimed TNA champion Moose defeats Suicide. Do we really have to use the Suicide name? I've never been comfortable with it. I didn't like it in TNA. I don't like it in the video game. Suicide is one of those off-limits topics to me as a character. Maybe it's because I've had some friends commit suicide and it's just uncomfortable. Maybe I'm too sensitive about it, but It's just something I never cared for personally. Anyway, whoever's behind the mask does a phenomenal job with the match. So they Moose demands that the ring announcer David Penzer make a special title match announcement for tonight. Match starts with Suicide getting a couple of roll-ups on Moose. Moose tries pulling the mask off but can't get it done. They start brawling around ringside. Moose finally gets the upper hand using the rails. Back in the ring, Suicide recovers long enough and blocks Moose's attempted spear. Moose caught him on the top rope and tossed him across the ring to cut him off. Moose works him over for quite a while with chops, punches, and the like. Suicide tries to make a comeback but fails. They go back to the floor where Moose swung Suicide giant swing style into the rails and followed this up with an apron bomb. And Suicide's back in the ring, but he's stomped and sent back to the floor for the second or third time in the match. Moose went down to talk trash. He tosses Suicide back in and kept talking trash. Back in the ring, Suicide, he hits an apron senton onto Moose. And then Suicide hits a leg scissors takedown, and he hits several other moves, but Moose easily blocks some German suplexes and hits palm strike for 2 count. Suicide then went to the top rope, but Moose rushes him and went for a pop-up powerbomb. Suicide reverses that and hits a Rana, landing on his head. Ouch. Suicide follows up with a rolling fireman's carry and a lion salt for a near fall. Moose then rams Suicide to the corner, and he stomps him in and then accidentally nails the referee. Suicide then responds with a back fist. Moose goes to the top rope, shoulder tackle, but Suicide catches him with a code breaker for a visual pin. However, the referee's nowhere to be found. Moose went for the no jackhammer needed, but Suicide reversed it and hits a code red. Referee comes to just long enough to do a sloppy slow count. Moose then low blowed Suicide from behind the ref and hits the no jackhammer needed to retain the championship. Match was much better than expected. I still don't like the Moose being the TNA champion thing. I think it's foolish. But if you're going to focus around Moose because that's the biggest star you think you have, I get it. I understand it. I still think they should be putting over new talent more than they are. But, I guess, maybe they could bring back former TNA talents who've been released by WWE recently to challenge for it and maybe do things that way. Overall, like I said, show was better than it had any reason to be, but still probably the second best or the second worst show I'm going to watch this week. SmackDown probably going to be the worst, but we will be back later tonight with some TNT reviews and NXT as well as AEW reviews, so worth staying tuned here. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.